Not seen him since? Sir, that cannot be. But were I not the better part made mercy, I should not seek an absent argument of my revenge, thou present. But look to it. Find out thy brother, wheresoever he is, seek him with candle, bring him dead or living within this 12-month, or turn thee no more to seek a living in our territory. Thy lands and all things that thou dost call thine with seizure do we seize into our hands, till thou canst quit thee by thy brother's mouth of what we think against thee.
Oh, that your highness knew my heart in this. I never loved my brother in my life.
More villain thou. Well, push him out of doors, and let my officers of such nature make an extent upon his house and lands. Do this expediently, and turn him going.
No, please, help.
Hang there my verse in witness of my love. And thou thrice-crowned queen of night, survey with thy chaste eye from thy pale sphere above the huntress name that my full life doth sway. O Rosalind, these trees shall be my books, and in their barks my thoughts I'll character. That every eye which in the forest looks shall see thy virtue witnessed everywhere. Run, Orlando, carve on every tree thy fair and chaste and unexpressive she.
And how like you the shepherd's life, Master Touchstone?
Truly, shepherd, in respect of itself, it is a good life. But in respect that it is a shepherd's life, it is not. In respect that it is solitary, I like it very well. But in respect that it is private, it is a very vile life. And in respect that it is in the fields, it pleaseth me well. But in respect that it is not at court, it is tedious. Hast any philosophy in thee, shepherd?
No more, but that I know the more one sickens, the worse at ease he is. And that he who wants money, means, and content is without three good friends. That property of rain is to be wet, and fire to burn, and that good pasture makes fat sheep, and that a great cause of the night is lack of the sun. That he that hath learned no wit by nature, nor aught, may complain of good breeding, or comes of very dull kindred.
Such a one is a natural philosopher. Wast thou ever at court, shepherd?
No, truly.
Then thou art damned.
Nay, I hope.
Truly, thou art damned like an ill-roasted egg, all on one side.
For not being at court, your reason.
Why, if thou was never at court, thou never sawest good manners. And if thou never sawest good manners, then thy manners must be wicked. Wickedness is sin, and sin is damnation. Thou art in a perilous state, shepherd.
Not a whit, Touchstone. Those that are good manners at the court are as ridiculous in the country as the behavior of the country is most mockable at the court. You told me you salute not the court, but you kissed your hands. This courtesy would be uncleanly if couriers were shepherds.
Instance, briefly come, instance.
Why? We're still handling our ewes, and the lapels, are greasy.
Why do not your courtiers' hands sweat? And is not the grease of a mutton as wholesome as the sweat of a man? Shallow. A better instance, I say, come.
And they are often tarred over with the surgery of our sheep. Would you have us kiss tar?
Most shallow man. Thou worm's meat in respect of a good piece of flesh indeed. Mend the instance, shepherd.
You have too courtly a wit for me. I'll rest.
Whilst thou rest, damned? God help thee, shallow man. God make incision in thee. Thou art raw.
Sir, I am a true laborer. I earn that I eat, get that I wear, owe no man hate, envy no one man's happiness, glad of other men's good, content with my harm, and the greatest of my pride is to see my ewes graze and my lambs suck. Here comes young Master Ganymede, my new mistress's brother.
Ooh. From the east to western end, no jewel is like Rosalind. Her worth being mounted on the wind, though all the world bears Rosalind. All the pictures fairest lined are but black to Rosalind. Let no fair be kept in mind, but the fair to Rosalind.
I'll rhyme you so. 8 years together, dinners and suppers and sleeping hours accepted. Is this the right button woman's rank to market?
Out, fool.
For a taste. If a heart do lack a hind, let him seek out Rosalind. If the cats will after kind, so be sure will Rosalind. Oh, winter garments must be lined, and so must slender Rosalind. They that reap must sheaf and blind, then to cart with Rosalind. Sweetest nut hath sourest rind, such a nut is Rosalind. He that sweetest rose must find love's prick in Rosalind. This is a very false gallop of verses. Why do you infect yourself with them?
Peace, you dull fool. I found them on a tree.
Truly, the tree yields bad fruit.
Peace, here comes my sister. Stand aside.
Tongues I'll hang on every tree that shall civil sayings show. Some of violated vows twixt the souls of friend and friend, but upon the fairest boughs or at every sentence end, will I Rosalinda write, teaching all that read to know the quintessence of every sprite heavenward in little show. Therefore, heaven nature charged that one body should be filled with all graces wide enlarged, nature presently distilled. Helen's cheek, but not her heart, Cleopatra's majesty, Atlanta's better part, sad Lucretia's modesty. Heaven would that she these gifts to have, and I to live and die her slave.
Oh, most gentle Jupiter, what tedious homily of love have you wearied your parishioners withal, and never cried, "Have patience, good people."
How now? Back, friends. Shepherd, go off a little. Go with him, Sirrah.
Come, shepherd, let us make an honorable retreat, though not with bag and baggage, but with script and scrippage.
Didst thou hear these verses?
Oh, yes, I heard them all and more, too. for some of them had in them more feet than the verses could bear.
That's no matter. The feet might bear the verses.
Aye, the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear without wondering how thy name should be hanged and carved upon these trees?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look you here what I found on a palm tree. I was never so berhymed since Pythagoras' time. That I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain that you once wore around his neck? Change you color?
I prithee, who?
Oh, Lord, Lord, it is a hard matter for friends to meet, but mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now with most petitionary vehemence, tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again, wonderful. And after that, out of all hooping.
Good my complexion. Dost thou think, though I am comparison like a man, I have doublet and hose in my disposition? 1 inch of delay more is a south sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who it is quickly, and speak apace. I would thou couldst stammer, that thou mightst pour this concealed man out of thy mouth, as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once, or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, that may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly.
Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he hath but a little beard.
Why, God will send more if the man be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard, if thou delay me not in the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando that tripped up the wrestler's heels and your heart both in an instant.
Nay, but the devil take mocking. Speak, sad brow and true maid.
Faith, cuz, 'tis he.
Orlando?
Orlando!
Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he say when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Wherein went he? What takes him here? Did he ask for me? Where remained he? How parted he with thee? And when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word.
You must borrow me Gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size. To say aye and no to these particulars is more than to answer in a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest and in man's apparel? Look he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled.
It is as easy to count atomies as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him, and relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
Oh, it may as well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There lay he, stretched along like a wounded knight.
Oh, though it be a pity to see such a sight, though it well becomes the ground.
Cry holla to thy tongue, I prithee, it curvets unseasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Oh, ominous, he comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burden. Thou bringest me out of tune.
Do you not know I am a woman? When I think, I must speak. Sweet, say on.
Mm-hmm. You bring me out. Soft, comes he not here?
'Tis he! Slink by and note him.
I thank you for your company, but good faith, I had as lief have been myself alone.
And so had I, but yet for fashion's sake, I thank you too for your society.
God be with you. Let's meet as little as we can.
I do desire we may be better strangers.
I pray you mar no more trees with writing love songs in their barks.
I pray you, mar no more of my verses with reading them ill-favoredly.
Rosalind is your love's name?
Yes, just.
I do not like her name.
Well, there was no thought of pleasing you when she was christened.
You have a nimble wit. I think 'twas made of Atlanta's heels. Will you sit down with me, and we two will rail against our mistress, the world, and all our misery?
I will chide no breather in the world but myself, in whom I know most faults.
The worst fault you have is to be in love.
'Tis a fault I would not change for your best virtue. I am weary of you.
By my troth, I was seeking for a fool when I found you.
Why, he's drowned in the brook. Look but in, and you shall see him.
There I shall see mine own figure.
Which I take to be either a fool or a cipher.
I'll tarry no longer with you. Farewell, good Signor Love.
I am glad of your departure. Adieu, good Signor Melancholy.
I will speak to him like a saucy lackey, and under that habit play the knave with him. Do you hear, Forester?
Very well, what would you?
I pray you, what is it o'clock?
You should ask what time of day it is. There's no clock in the forest.
Then there is no true lover in the forest, else sighing every minute and groaning every hour would detect the lazy foot of time as well as the clock.
Where dwell you, pretty youth?
With this shepherdess, my sister, here in the skirts of the forest, like fringe upon a petticoat.
Are you native of this place?
As the coney that you see dwell where she is kindled.
Your accent is something finer than you could purchase in so removed a dwelling.
I have been told so of many, but indeed an old religious uncle of mine taught me to speak, who was in his youth an inland man, one that knew courtship too well, for there he fell in love. I have heard him read many lectures against it, and I thank God I am not a woman, to be touched with so many giddy offences as he have generally taxed their whole sex withal.
Can you remember any of these principal evils that he laid charge to women?
There was none principal. They were all like one another as halfpence are, every one fault seeming monstrous till his fellow fault came to match it.
Why, prithee, recount some of them.
No, I will not cast away my physic on those that are sick. There is a man that haunts this forest, that abuses our young plants by carving Rosalind on their barks, hangs odes upon hawthorns, elegies on brambles, all forsooth defying the name of Rosalind. If I could meet that fancy monger, I would give him some good counsel, for he seems to have the quotidian of love upon him.
Well, I am he that is so love-shaped. I pray you, tell me your remedy.
There is none of my uncle's marks upon you. He taught me how to know a man in love, in which cage of rushes I am sure you are no prisoner.
What were his marks?
A lean cheek, which you have not, a blue eye and sunken, which you have not, an unquestionable spirit, which you have not, a beard neglected, which you have not, but I pardon you for that, for simply your having in beard is a younger brother's revenue. Then your hose should be unguarded, your bonnet unbanded, your sleeve unbuttoned, your shoe untied, and everything about you demonstrating a careless desolation. But you are no such man. You are rather point device in your accoutrements, as loving yourself than seeming the lover of any other.
Well, fair youth, I could make thee believe I love.
Do you believe it? You may as soon make her that you love believe it, which I warrant she is apter to do than to confess she does. That is one of the points in which women still give the lie to their consciences. But in good sooth, are you he that hangs the verses on the trees wherein Rosalind is so admired?
I swear to thee, youth, by the white hand of Rosalind, I am that he.
Are you so much in love with her as your rhymes speak?
Neither rhyme nor reason can express how much.
Love is merely a madness, and I tell you, deserves as well a dark house and a whip as madmen do. And the reason why they are not so punished and cured is that the lunacy is so ordinary that the whippers are in love too. Yet I profess curing it by counsel.
Did you ever cure any so?
Yes, one, and in this manner he was to imagine me his love, his mistress, and I sent him every day to woo me, at which time would I now like him, now loathe him, then entertain him, then forswear him, now weep for him, then spit at him, that I drave my suitor from his mad humor of love to a living humor of madness, which was to forswear the full stream of the world, and to live in a nook merely monastic. And thus I cured him, and this way will I take upon me to wash your liver as clean as a sound sheep's heart, that there shall be not one spot of love in it.
I would not be cured, youth.
I would cure you, if you would but call me Rosalind, and come every day to my cote and woo me.
Now, by the faith of my love, I will. Tell me where it is.
Go with me to it, and I'll show it to you. And by the way, you shall tell me where in the forest you live. Will you go?
With all my good youth.
Nay, you must call me Rosalind. Come, sister, will you go?
Come apace, good Audrey. I will fetch up your goats, Audrey. Oh, and how, Audrey? Am I the man yet? Doth my simple features content you?
Your features? Lord warrant us, what features?
I am here with thee and thy goats, as the most capricious poet, honest Ovid, was with the Goths.
Oh, knowledge ill inhabited, worse than Jove in a thatched house.
When a man's verses cannot be understood, nor a man's good wit seconded with that forward child, understanding, it strikes a man more dead than a great reckoning in a little room. Truly, I would the gods had made thee poetical.
I do not know what poetical is. Is it honest in deed and word? Is it a true thing?
No, truly, for the truest poetry is the most feigning, and lovers are given to poetry, and what they swear in poetry may be said as lovers, they do feign.
Do you wish then that the gods had made me poetical?
Oh, I do, truly. For thou swearest to me thou art honest. Now, if thou were a poet, I might have some hope thou didst feign.
Would you not have me honest?
No, truly. Unless thou were, hard-favored. For honesty coupled to beauty is to have honey a sauce to sugar.
Oh, a material fool.
Well, I am not fair, and therefore I pray the gods make me honest.
Truly, and to cast away honesty upon a foul slut were to put good meat into an unclean dish.
I am not a slut, though I think the gods I am foul.
Oh, praised be the gods for thy foulness. Sluttishness can come after. But be it as it may be, I will marry thee. And to that end I have been with Sir Oliver Martex, the vicar of the next village, who hath promised to meet me in this place of the forest and to couple us.
Oh, I would fain see this meeting.
Well, the gods give us joy.
Amen. Here comes Sir Oliver. Sir Oliver Martex, you are well met. Will you dispatch us here under this tree, or shall we go to with you to the chapel?
Is there none here to give the woman?
I will not take her gift of any man.
Well, truly she must be given, or the marriage is not lawful.
Proceed. I'll give her.
Good even, good master. What you called? How do you do, sir? You are very well met. God illed you for your last company. I was very glad to see you. Even a toy in hand here, sir. Nay, pray be covered.
Will you be married, Motley?
As the axe hath his bow, sir, the horse his curb, and the falcon her bells, so man hath his desires. And as pigeon's bill, so wedlock must be nibbling.
And will you, being a man of your breeding, be married under a bush like a beggar? We'll get you to church and have a good priest that can tell you what marriage is. This fellow will but join you together as they join wainscot. Then one of you will prove shrunk panel, and like green timber, warp.
I am not in the mind, but I would better to be married of him than of another, for he is not like to marry me well. And not being well married, it will be a good excuse for me hereafter to leave my wife.
Aye, go thou with me, and let me counsel thee.
Come, sweet Audrey, we must be married or we will live in body. Farewell, Master Oliver. Begone, I say, I will not to wedding with thee.
Well, 'tis no matter. Ne'er a fantastical knave of them all shall flout me out of my calling.
Oh, never talk to me or I will weep.
Do, I prithee, but yet have the grace to consider that tears do not become a man.
But have I not cause to weep?
As good a cause as one would desire, therefore weep.
His very hair is of the dissembling color.
Something browner than Judas's, Mary. His kisses are Judas's own children.
In faith, his hair is of a good color.
An excellent color. Your chestnut was ever the only color.
And his kissing is full of sanctity as the touch of a holy bread.
He hath bought a pair of cast lips of Diana. A nun of winter's sisterhood kisses not more religiously. The very ice of chastity is in them.
But why did he swear he would come this morning and comes not?
Nay, certainly there is no truth in him.
Do you think so?
Yes, I think he is not a pick purse nor a horse stealer, but for his verity and love, I do think him as concave as a covered goblet or a worm-eaten nut.
Not true in love?
Yes, when he is in, but I think he is not in.
You have heard him swear downright he was.
Was is not is. Besides, the oath of a lover is no stronger than the word of a tapster. They are both the confirmer of false reckonings. He attends here in the forest on the Duke, your father.
I met the Duke yesterday and had much question with him. He asked me of what parentage I was. I told him of good as he. So he laughed and let me go. Oh, but what talk we of fathers when there is such a man as Orlando?
Oh, that's a brave man. He writes brave verses, speaks brave words, swears brave oaths, and then breaks them bravely. But all's brave that youth mounts and folly guides. Who comes here?
Masters and mistress, you have oft inquired after that shepherd that complained of love, who you saw sitting by me on the turf, praising the proud, disdainful shepherdess that was his mistress?
Well, and what of him?
If you will see a pageant truly played between the pale complexion of true love and the red glow of scorn and proud disdain, go hence a little, and I shall conduct you, if you will mark it.
Let us remove. The sight of lovers feedeth those in love. Bring us to this sight, and you shall say I'll prove a busy actor in their play.
Sweet Phebe, do not scorn me, do not, Phebe. Say that you love me not, but say not so in bitterness. The common executioner, whose heart the accustomed sight of death makes hard, falls not the axe upon the humbled neck, but first begs pardon. Will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops?
I would not be thy executioner. I fly thee, for I would not injure thee. Thou tell'st me there is murder in mine eye. 'Tis pretty, sure, and very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest things should be called tyrants, butchers, and murderers. Now I do frown on thee with all my heart, and if mine eyes can wound, now let them kill thee. Now show the wound mine eye hath made in thee. Scratch thee but with a pin, and there remains some scar of it. Lean but upon a rush, the cicatrice and capable impressure thy palm some moment keeps. But now mine eyes, which I have darted at thee, hurt thee not. Nor, I am sure, there is no force in eyes that can do hurt.
Oh, dear Phebe, if ever, as that ever may be near, you meet in some fresh cheek the power of fancy, then shall you know the wounds invisible that love's keen arrows make.
But till that time, come not thou near me. And when that time comes, afflict me with thy mocks. Pity me not, as till that time I shall not pity thee.
And why, I pray you? Who might be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched? What, though you have no beauty, as by my faith I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed, must you therefore be proud and pitiless? Why, what means this? Why do you look on me? I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. Oh, it's my little life. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. You, foolish shepherd, wherefore do you follow her like foggy south puffing with wind and rain? You are 1,000 times a properer man than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that makes the world full of ill-favored children. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her, and out of you she sees herself more properer than any of her lineaments can show of her. But mistress, know yourself, down on your knees, and thank heaven fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you friendly in your ear, sell when you can. You are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy. Love him, take his offer. So take her to thee, shepherd. Fare you well.
Sweet youth, I pray you, chide a year together. I'd rather hear you chide than this man woo.
He's fallen in love with your foulness, and she'll fall in love with my anger. If it be so, as fast as she answers thee with frowning looks, I'll sauce her with bitter words. Why look you so upon me?
For no ill will I bear you.
I pray you, do not fall in love with me, for I am falser than vows made in wine. Besides, I like you not. Shepherd, ply her hard. Come, sister.
All right, bye.
Dead shepherd, now I find thy saw of might. Who ever loved that loved not at first sight?
Sweet Phebe.
What sayest thou, Silvius?
Sweet Phebe, pity me.
Why, I am sorry for thee, Silvius.
Wherever sorrow is, relief would be. If you do sorrow at my grief in love, by giving love, your sorrow and my grief were both exterminate.
Thou hast my love. Is not that neighborly?
I would have you.
Why, that were covetousness. Silvius, the time was that I hated thee, and yet it is not that I bear thee love. But since thou canst talk of love so well, thy company, which erst was irksome to me, I will endure, and I'll employ thee too. But do not look for further recompense than thine own gladness that thou art employed.
Oh, so holy and so perfect is my love, and I am in such a poverty of grace that I shall think it a most plenteous crop to glean the broken ears after the man that the main harvest reaps. Loose now, and then a scattered smile, and that I'll live upon.
Knowest now the youth that spoke to me erewhile?
Not very well, but I have met him oft. And he hath bought the cottage and the bounds that the old Carlet once was master of.
Well, think not I love him, though I ask for him. 'Tis but a peevish boy. Yet he talks well. But what care I for words? Yet words do well when he that speaks them pleases those that hear. It is a pretty youth. Not very pretty, but sure he's proud, and yet his pride becomes him. He'll make a proper man. The best in him is his complexion, and faster than his tongue did make offense, his eye did heal it up. He's not very tall, and yet for his years he's tall. His leg is but so, and yet 'tis well. There is a pretty redness in his lip, a little riper and more lusty red than mixed in his cheek. 'Twas just the difference between the constant red and the mingled damask. There be some women, Silvius, had they marked him in parcels as I did, would have gone near to fall in love with him. But for my part, I love him not. Nor hate him not. And yet I have more cause to hate him than to love him, for what had he to do to chide at me? I will write him a very taunting letter, and thou shalt bear it. Wilt thou, Silvius?
Phebe, with all my heart.
I'll write it straight. The matter's in my head and in my heart. I will be bitter with him and passing short. Go with me, Silvius.